The payroll validation report pack looks at your live iTrent data, and for a payroll of your choice, will interrogate the details for people who are about to get paid. The idea behind this pack is that you will run it in the week leading up to when you're closing payroll down. You will have run the payroll calculation already in iTrent, and this report is looking for a series of conditions to check the validity of all of the details for every employee on that payroll. So if I have a look at the glossary tab on here, we have a long list of conditions that this report is going to be checking. These are put into a severity order. So at the bottom, we have these information warnings. These are looking at the audited data for those employees. So checking their records from the time when they were last paid up until when they're about to get paid and saying what about them has changed. These could be some fairly straightforward things like a change in forename, change in surname, for example. Or it could be something that may need looking at, such as a change in salary or a change in contractual hours. Obviously, those could affect their net pay. Above the information warnings are a warning severity. This is meaning that it's not going to affect somebody getting paid, but you may want to have a look at those details because it includes things like their address format doesn't fit what HMRC are asking for example. So they'll still get paid, but we might need to change their record. Above that are the severe warnings. This is again saying we're not going to stop people getting paid as such. However, we do need to have a look at these. So things like a missing active mailing address, for example, would be a severe warning. They're going to get paid, but we can't send them a payslip. And then finally, top of the list are the critical alerts. These are ones that we do need to fix by payday. Things like somebody missing a bank account or missing a payment method. We may not be able to pay these employees, so we need to get those sorted. When you refresh the report, you'll be asked which payroll do you want it to look against, and also for a net pay difference to flag. This is comparing last month's pay or last week's pay versus this month or this week's pay, and a percentage difference between those two that you want to highlight. When we run it, we'll get a summary on this front page to say which payroll we're looking at, when payday is due to be, and when the audited changes is looking for. So what's different for these employees? Over on the left, we can see a summary saying how many people are on this payroll and the values that we can balance back to iTrent if we wish. In the middle, it tells us how many of those conditions have been flagged. So how many employees have severe warnings against them or critical ones. And again, those are the ones that we really want to iron out by payday. When we start to use this report properly, we can then interrogate each of these, and the idea is that by payday, we want to have got all of these issues out of the way with so that we can be pretty confident when we're paying everybody, everyone who should be getting paid is going to get paid, and they're not going to have as many issues to clean up next month. So if we're using this effectively month in, month out, we should have less work to do trying to claw money back or fix people's pay. As I scroll through these tabs, on the analysis tab, this is an interactive page whereby I can see the same critical, severe or warning details up at the top, but I can drill down into each of these to see what are these alerts. So if I click on any of these at the top, it filters this to say what are these conditions. And then if I say duplicate NI number, for example, this list of employees, that's narrowed down again to say these are the employees with that condition. Now, I could go into iTrent now and have a look at any of these, but if I click on one of these employees and scroll down slightly, I can then see the further details for that employee. So here they are, they have a duplicate NI number with somebody else in the system. This is the NI number in this case, and this is the other person who they share that with. So straight away, I can have a look and see, is that actually an issue in terms of duplicate NI? Yes, it is. It could be that employee is set up on the system twice, so it's perfectly valid they'd have the same NI number. Likewise, duplicate bank details, for example, they could have a joint account with somebody else within the business. If I scroll further down, it tells me more details about this employee to say who they are, what position they work in, and then underneath a summary of what's going to be on their payslip. So as I go through each of these conditions, I can either go into iTrent and fix them, or if I've looked through there and see, yeah, I can see that person has a duplicate bank account, they have it with their spouse, that's fine. Until we've cleaned all these up, all the ones that we are left with, we know we can live with. That's the idea. Right, look at the payroll details page on here. This goes straight down to an employee level. So rather than using that to drill down, I can just navigate straight to that employee and see any conditions against them. Or I can look on the conditions tab in here. This is just a full list of every condition that has been flagged up. And from here, I can drill down specifically to the conditions I want to look at. If we look at things like a change in contractual hours, for example, because this is using the audit data in iTrent, I can see not just the employee who had this change made against them, but over on the right, which person made that change in iTrent, the date that they made it, and then the before and after value. So they had a change in hours. It was 30, it's gone up to 32.5. So I can use this for any of these conditions to have a look straight away and see what's what. If I need to send that to somebody, as with any report in Business Objects, I can export those details and email them across to somebody and say, you've got until payday to fix all of these problems. Last check on here is what's called the orphaned employees tab. This is looking for anybody who's been set up on iTrent but hasn't been attached to the payroll or attached to the structure. There could be a valid reason for those, things like contractors and so on. They need to be on iTrent to be part of a workflow, but they're not a genuine employee, if you like. But sense check this page as well, just to make sure any new starters are not on here. Everybody who should be getting paid is going to get paid.